All right, so we're going to chat about what our cycle is trying to tell us. And I think that a good place to start always is everyone just feel safe in this space and know that we're educating, learning. None of us are perfect, right? For me specifically, I didn't know this stuff until I was well into like my late 20s. No lie, like I did not know so many of these things until my late 20s, like after I already had a child. I was figuring this out for myself. Learned it from an app, actually, not even an actual human. I learned it from an app that explained how my body was working. So put an emoji or drop a yes in the chat if you are like, yes, been there. I feel this. Yeah, no one tells us how our cycles are actually supposed to work, which is so mind blowing because so many things you grow up and you're like, that's gross. This is weird, and it's actually very normal. It's actually totally normal. And once you understand that, it's not gross or weird anymore. You're like, oh, this is how my body is actually supposed to work. It's not gross. It's actually a very good sign of health and vitality and fertility and all of those things. Yeah, literally, why does nobody tell us? Why are these secrets? So we're gonna dive into the secrets of our cycle tonight that shouldn't be secrets. But we're gonna keep it specific to like what our cycle is going to tell us. So before I dive into that, I know that cycles can be something that there's a lot of issues with. And then we can be told over and over that's normal. That's normal. How many of you guys feel like your cycles are rough or have been rough in your life before and you were told that's normal? Or you were put on birth control. How many of you were put on birth control? Big ol' hand raise. I feel like so many were. I wanna tell you guys some of the side effects and risks of birth control that nobody talks about. I certainly did not know this when I was put on birth control when I was 15 years old. 15 years old on birth control to just make my cycle not painful and to make it like I was on the depot birth control, which completely made my cycle go away. We don't want our cycles to completely go away, you guys. This is not what we want. Just the same as we don't want to just be removing body parts here and there because we think that like we don't need them anymore. We're not going to like just shut off our cycles out of convenience. So here's a lot of the things that we may be dealing with, and maybe you are still doing this. Maybe you're still going through this and you're figuring out what your next steps are. The risks of birth control are loss of libido, rashes, random rashes, autoimmune, discoloration of the skin, like melasma, skin issues, acne, nausea, vomiting, migraines, mood changes, depression, anxiety, varicose veins, pain, cramps, bloating, gastrointestinal symptoms, spotting, recurrent yeast infections, bladder infections, vitamin deficiencies, water retention, vision impairment, and liver malfunction. This is a lot. And the ones that I feel like they do not hone in on enough, yes, Lacey just said it. The stomach issues, the GI issues that they are not fully disclosing. Your gut is so intricately tied to your mental health, your immune system, everything. Your gut is tied to so many different things in your body. The other one that sticks out to me is the vitamin deficiencies. A lot of what birth control does is block the absorption of vital nutrients. One of them is vitamin D, one of them is iron. Guys, we are all women who actively bleed one for 4 or 5 days out of every single month. And if we are on birth control, it is blocking our absorption of iron. That is a problem. How many people have been anemic before? I was anemic with my first pregnancy with Cash, and that he was my first pregnancy right after being on birth control. Makes perfect sense, like when you start to put all of the pieces together. So hopefully, we are going to really tackle. We're going to put together some puzzle pieces tonight, I hope. So put in the chat if you have had PMS, cramping, and someone told you that was normal. I saw lots of yeses. If you didn't feel very okay putting that before, type it in now. Okay, there's something that you can do about that, and it's not necessarily birth control. So while we all feel this is very common. There's a lot of things that cause it. It's definitely not normal. And I want you guys to really like hone in on that, that it is not normal, but the good news is that there's something that we can do about it, and there's things that we can tools that we can use to get to know our bodies a little bit better. So why is this so important to watch your cycle? Your menstrual cycle is not just a big, inconvenience in your life, despite what we all kind of, I feel like I was brought up to think this is just a giant inconvenience. Like, this is just a real, like, it's uncomfortable. I don't want to have to deal with it. It's embarrassing, like all of those things, right? But your cycle is honestly a built in health report about clues to your body and how your body is working. It's Obviously, it's not just about tracking your period. Obviously, you want to do that, right? But your cycle reflects everything from how well you balance stress, how you handle stress, how your hormones are balanced, whether their hormones are balanced or not, and the lifestyle choices that might be affecting you. So, paying attention to the cycle makes you more in tune with your body to kind of be like, this area is not really responding well, or I'm seeing a change in this area that you might decide to look deeper into, right? So, how many of you guys, I'm going to list off these lists and you can just put yes in the chat if you have ever experienced these. Not going to make you share all the gritty details or anything like that, but just so all of us here know that we're not alone and how common these things are. If you have ever had irregular periods, type a yes in the chat. If you've ever had heavy bleeding, type a yes in the chat. Unusual symptoms, spotting, any kind of things like that, put that in the chat. These things can really be indicators on how our bodies are responding to stress, or maybe we have an underlying thyroid issue that can also be something there. Yes, all of it. Gosh, I feel like this is something that is not talked about enough at all, but it's important to know that so many people deal with it, but we can get to the root cause of it, which is also not something that you see anyone really doing. So, whether you're trying to conceive or prevent pregnancy naturally, tracking your cycle helps you know when you're most fertile by identifying ovulation. How many of you guys know that you are literally fertile about 4 or 5 days out of the month? That's it. Like, that's it. 4 or 5 days. I definitely did not grow up knowing this. I did not know this until I was, like I said, late 20s. And then it all came together. And I was like, okay, this is why I feel this way during these days. This is why this is happening during these days. There are only about 4 days a month that you are fertile and able to conceive. Kind of starts to make you think, is birth control really that necessary for everyone when we're talking about 4 days out of the month? And obviously, everyone can make their own decisions. But when I had that realization, I was like, well, that's silly. Like, I'm not going to do damage to my body for the other 24 days out of my cycle for just these 4 days. Okay. So, and we could talk more about like tracking your cycles in a little bit. There's some apps, some tools at the end. Hopefully, I'll leave some time for questions and we can go into more of those kind of things if you want the specifics and things that are helpful. Um, Also, I want you to put in if you struggle really terribly with mood swings, cravings, these PMS symptoms like low energy, all of those things that lead up to your cycle. How many of you guys struggle with that piece of it? Cravings. Yes. Connie, yes, yes, and yes. I feel that so much. I will tell you, when I figured out my cycle to have a pain-free cycle with very few symptoms, it's like magic. It's like it makes your life so easy and everything just seems to come together. How many of you guys have mood swings, skin issues the week before or during your cycle? Hormonal acne is a lot. Acne almost always, you guys, is toxins or hormones. There's almost never another issue that causes acne or skin issues on your face other than toxins or hormones. Um, so each phase of your cycle has different needs, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, but not a ton. So sometimes there are times during your cycle, like leading up to ovulation, your follicular phase, and then when you ovulate that week, you have a ton of energy. That is when you should be doing like strenuous exercise. That's when you should be like planning your month, doing the hard things. If you're a social media person, that's when you should be filming those reels. Like you have the energy, you're feeling creative. And if you're a woman who feels like there's something wrong with you because you are more creative sometimes and sometimes you're just not, there's nothing wrong with you. That's like an actual it's a cyclical thing that is normal to our bodies. We're normally supposed to have more energy on some weeks than others. Some weeks we need like the comfort food, the things that like wrap us in a big hug and just stretch, like gentle stretches. Other weeks, like we are made to do things more strenuous, right? And that's not anything to say that there's something wrong with you or you're not doing anything right. But by watching your cycle, not just tracking the days, you're learning how to live in harmony with that cycle so you can plan accordingly, right? So I'm going to tell you what a healthy cycle looks like. And this is pretty black and white because if you really get down to it, there's some variation to what is normal for a woman's cycle, but not a lot. There's very tiny variations here, but not a lot. So if you find yourself getting in your head and you're like, mine varies in this way, I really challenge you, even if it's not a lot, to look a little bit deeper. Look a little bit deeper as to why it may be varying from this. A regularly occurring period that comes about every 28 days. It comes about every 28 days. Um, I know that that can vary slightly, but it shouldn't vary by much. 4 of those days, 4 days of bleeding in which you soak a tampon pad or menstrual cup every 4 hours, not more and not less. Not more and not less. This, like, was really eye-opening to me when I used to think that it was a straight week. It really should be for maybe a poor part of day 5, and that's it. You really shouldn't be bleeding for longer than that. So, no cramping or spotting. If you're tracking ovulation, you should be ovulating between cycle days 11 and 14. And you should notice abundant, stretchy, egg white cervical fluid on or before ovulation. This is one of the things that you guys blew my mind that I had no idea about. And when you start tracking it and paying attention, everything makes perfect sense. Everything makes perfect sense when you start tracking this one thing. This one thing you're like, okay, now I know why this is happening to me. This isn't gross. This it's actually exactly how it's supposed to be. And then you start tracking it, and a healthy cycle will be pretty much the same month in, like month after month. It will be exactly like that. Okay, so no PMS symptoms before your next period starts. That's normal. I know that we are taught to be like, well, PMS is normal. You're just, it's a week before your cycle. It's actually not that normal, guys. There are other things, and I'm going to tell you about that. Okay, so here's what the bleeding might be saying. Yeah, both of my babies were like clockwork once I figured that out. Listen, it's only about 4 days that you gotta work with there. Like, it's pretty easy to figure out once you've got that figured out. I love that, Jasmine, and you're so right. You're so right. Okay, so then I want you to know this about what your bleeding, the color of it may be saying. If it's bright or cranberry red, this is usually the sign of a healthy, regular period. Pinkish can mean that you have low estrogen levels, especially when blood flow is lighter than normal. Some people will say that you have estrogen dominance if they're super heavy periods, which can be the case, but oftentimes if you have low estrogen levels, your periods are going to be a little bit lighter. And nobody really talks about that because I think nobody talks about that because if our periods are lighter, we're like, hey, like this is easy. I'm happy about this. But actually, you want to be paying attention to that. You want to be paying attention if it's a little bit lighter and if it's lighter in color as well. So, diluted or watery looking. I've actually experienced this before. Like I said, after my first son was born, I experienced this. Diluted or watery looking, it means you have a nutritional deficiency or severe anemia. I was super anemic after Cash was born, and it kind of lasted for a while. Now looking back, like I definitely think there was some nutritional deficiencies also going on at the same time, but it's crazy how you watch that change. You watch that change. And being nutritionally deficient, especially if you've been on birth control, is something that happens extremely easily. So dark brown, older bits of uterine lining and blood that have time to oxidize. This is normal. This is usually very normal. This is not something to be concerned about. Jam colored red with large clots meaning low progesterone and high estrogen. If you have large clots in like the blood as you go through your cycle, this is probably low progesterone and high estrogen. So that is pretty indicative of a hormonal imbalance. That could also mean uterine fibroids, but they're usually benign. Okay. Let's see. Gray or red mix, that could mean a possible infection or a recurring yeast infection issue. How many of you guys have experienced any variation of all of those? Yes, maybe. I feel like I totally have. All right. We're going to keep going here. If your bleeding patterns change suddenly or are consistently painful or interfere with daily life. There was a time in my life that cramps definitely interfered with my daily life. I think even before they put me on birth control, I missed school. How many of you guys have had friends or people who have missed school because of painful periods? That is not normal. We're going to dive into a little bit more of that as well. Yeah, missed school and work before. Yeah. Yep, totally. And what's crazy is that we literally, yes, heating pad on the couch used to be debilitating. Yep, totally. You guys, like, isn't this crazy that we're just like, no one told us this isn't really normal, right? Okay, so what causes PMS? How many of you guys also feel like PMS should be like a expletive, like a not nice word? I feel like it should not be. It should be like not allowed. Okay, but it basically what it is, it's the cluster of very uncomfortable symptoms right before your cycle starts. So it can last from ovulation until when your next cycle starts. So it could be like 2 weeks. It could literally be a really long time, and it can have breast tenderness. If you've ever experienced any of these PMS symptoms, put them in the chat. Just type yes in the chat. Breast tenderness, bloating, constipation, diarrhea. Rochelle types yes before I even start talking. I love it. I love it. Because it's so true. Okay. Mood changes, irritability, migraines, fatigue, cravings, anxiety, insomnia, all are related to your body's response to hormonal fluctuations. I want you to hear what I just said there. Your body's response to hormonal fluctuations. A lot of times we are told that our hormones are the cause of. But if you hear what I just said there, it's your body's response to these hormonal fluctuations. So I want you to think of PMS as a stress test on your body. You know, like when you go in for a stress test and it's testing your heart or whatever it is, they're going to put you under stress and see how your body responds. PMS is kind of the same thing. Your hormones are fluctuating and it's putting stress on your body. So each PMS symptom and its severity gives you information about how your body systems are responding to the additional stress of hormone fluctuations that come in the second half of your cycle. Are you guys just like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about? Um, and this is something that also like gives you, this is why your cycle really matters. This is why these symptoms are really, really mattering. Okay, so here's the thing. During the end of your cycle, your body does heavy lifting to break down extra hormones still floating around in your bloodstream. How does it do that? It tries to detox them. If everything is working ideally, these hormones are processed and gotten rid of by the liver and cleared efficiently, resulting in a PMS-free cycle. So basically, you guys, what is the key to PMS? Your liver. Your liver, your liver, your liver is the key to PMS. Are you just like, what? What in the world is happening right now? This is so true. So here's what your liver does. If you were on our Love Your Liver Zoom, you understand, and we were just talking about this. Your liver plays the crucial role in getting rid of PMS because it's responsible for metabolizing, detoxifying hormones from your body. Extra estrogen, if you've been on social media in the last few years, everybody's eating raw carrot salads to get rid of extra estrogen in their body. That does work, but the key is your liver. The key is your liver. The liver breaks down excess estrogen through specific enzymatic pathways. And if your liver is sluggish or overwhelmed, put in the chat if you have any idea why your liver might be sluggish or overwhelmed. Your estrogen levels can stay high. leading to bloating, breast tenderness, and mood swings, right? So, what toxins? Yes, exactly. Toxins. We have endocrine disruptors everywhere around us. Everywhere around us, we have endocrine disruptors. We have toxins. We have these estrogenic compounds that are adding to that. And they're also like the fragrances, the 278 chemicals that a woman puts on their bodies every single day before they even leave the house is something that is should be very concerning, especially if you are having PMS symptoms like this. The liver processes environmental toxins, medications, and alcohol. So these can interfere with how your body metabolizes and detoxifies hormones. An overburdened liver might not be able to keep your hormones in check, worsening your PMS symptoms. This happens so often, and I feel like it's almost like it happens so much that people just think it's normal. That all of this stuff around us that we're using is normal and it's fine because it happens to everyone. But when you start to think of the long-term impacts of these things, the long-term impacts of having your liver, it's like first maybe you're experiencing some PMS symptoms. Later down the road, you maybe develop a estrogen dominant breast cancer because you're unable to get rid of this extra estrogen in your body. It kind of compounds on top of itself and creates bigger and bigger issues. That's why we have to pay attention if we are struggling with some of these things. Yeah, common does not equal normal. Absolutely. You're so right. So, poor liver function also leads to increased inflammation throughout your body, which can intensify your PMS symptoms like cramping, headaches, and fatigue. Also, the liver stores and processes super important minerals that are essential for hormone production and balance, like magnesium and zinc. Deficiencies in these nutrients, our improperly functioning liver can like contribute to the PMS, all of the things, the gut issues, all the things that we're doing, and very much how you are feeling in your mental health leading up to your cycle. If you are deficient in minerals, you're not going to feel good like at all. If you have had babies or have nursed babies, the average woman loses about 22 pounds of minerals during every single pregnancy and nursing. Like if you've had a baby and you're nursing, 22 pounds of minerals. I can tell you, I know for sure we are not replenishing minerals at the same rate that we are losing them. If you are stressed, how many of you guys live like a pretty high stress life or you feel stressed, 3 to 5 times a week, maybe more? That you're blowing through minerals. You are blowing through minerals because your body really needs a lot of minerals in order to respond to that stress. So, how we use up those minerals is not always the same. So, if we're blowing through those minerals, we have to be replacing them. So, what do my cycle symptoms tell me about my health? When your body has a hard time responding to this changing hormonal environment, it creates physiological stress and that can have a various impact on different organ systems. Like any other system under stress, the weakest parts are usually the first ones to break down. So let's take these like symptoms and let's see what weakest part may be breaking down first during this stressful fluctuation time. So, do you tend to get cravings, nausea, or have bowel changes before your period? This is a really good sign that your digestive system is on the weak side. Maybe you're leaning toward leaky gut, or you have some gut dysbiosis, overuse of antibiotics. Those kind of things can be really, really hard on your gut. And if that's where it's showing up, it's a red flag that your gut health needs some love. If you have breast tenderness, headaches, or irritability, this tells us that your body's detox system is not working as well as it should. It's not cleaning up a lot of the toxins and it's not getting out your hormonal leftovers. Other things that I think it's important to note that toxins are not just, the things that we think we can control, right? They're from water, they're from viruses, they're from pathogens that are just in our everyday environment. All of that is toxins that can bog down your liver too, which is why it's so important to control what you can control because we literally cannot control everything. We can't control what is falling from the sky. We can't control, Sally down the street and how she uses her dryer and what's coming out of her dryer bit, or like any, like we can control those things, right? And in large part, unless you have like very robust systems on your showers and all of your bathtubs and the sinks that you wash your hands in, you're probably accumulating some of the toxins from your tap water, even if you're not drinking it. I know that that's true for our family. We have shower filters, we have all the things, but we still wash our hands in our tap water at our sink, and nothing is perfect, right? So you just want to control what you can control. I know for me, I still had lead and arsenic in my system the last time that I had like a hair tissue mineral analysis. Those two things showed. So really just knowing that it's important to control what you can keeps those things, like when you do accumulate them, your liver and therefore your PMS symptoms, your stress response can be a little bit better. And if anything like that is starting to break down, you're like, oh, okay, I need some attention in these areas. So if you are fatigued or having trouble falling asleep, you're feeling anxious during those 2 weeks before your period, these are important indicators that you're running low on resources in general and that your body's in desperate need of a boost, meaning minerals, vitamins, nutrients. How many of you guys get headaches? Just type yes in the chat if that is something that you deal with. Oh yeah, Balance Complete is so good. Okay, so here all of this, yes, Michelle, I used to too. Um I really, really, really think that the headache piece is something that you can easily get rid of. Migraines are usually something that's fairly easy to deal with if you once you start tackling it in the right ways. Um, Especially right before your cycle. You want to make sure that your liver is detoxing well. Okay, so this is important for two reasons. First of all, obviously, want to get rid of PMS symptoms, right? Like that's number one. We all came to what's my cycle telling me, because we want easier cycles and we want to know what's going on with our bodies. But second, and most important, is if we are dealing with this, and I just mentioned this a little bit, if we're dealing with it now, think of this as like the precursors to bigger issues. If you're dealing with this stuff now, you're not going to be, hopefully, probably help, I hope, dealing with a thyroid issue in a couple of years. You're probably not going to be dealing with leaky gut or autoimmune or something like that down the road, or estrogen dominant breast cancer or XYZ thing, right? If you are paying attention to these things, and you're like, okay, here's where I need to support my body a little bit more. And like I said, if you're on a birth control that's shutting off your cycle, you are not getting any of this information. None of it. It doesn't mean that it's not happening. It just means that your indicators, you're like, I kind of think of it as like a car, and you have all the gauges on like the dash of your car, and like you can kind of see when one is getting low, and they change sometimes, right? But it gives you an idea, like, does my car need fuel? Do I need to change the oil? Like, what can I proactively be doing here? But if you take away all of those gauges, and that's essentially what you're doing. You're taking away all of those gauges, and you're unable to see those white flags, sometimes those red flags that your body is sending to you, like, hey, having a little trouble here. Okay, so let's dive into this. Cravings, nausea, and digestive issues. We're just going to dive into each one of these like symptoms real quick, and then we'll open it up for some questions. So these are signs that your digestive system can use some help. Our hormones are very intricately linked to gut health, and in turn, our immune system is 80% of our gut. So if you are dealing with like you're getting sick all the time and you're dealing with some gut issues, you're feeling those PMS symptoms as well, you really, really, really need to tackle your gut. So, in general, chronic gut inflammation can lead to intestinal permeability, which is leaky gut, which is one of the biggest causes of autoimmune disease, because what happens when you have leaky gut is the proteins that are supposed to stay in your gut. If you think of your body like you put food in your mouth and it goes basically through a tube through your body. It does not come into contact with any of your other organs whatsoever, nor is it supposed to. So all of those proteins, things that we are eating, that waste even starts to leak out from our intestines into our blood. And then what that does is it signals whatever proteins those are as foreign, and it mounts an immune response to that protein. It could be gluten. It could be broccoli. It could be peanuts. It could be literally it could be anything, right? But that's what happens. Your body starts to attack itself essentially because those proteins are leaking outside of your intestines. The gaps of your intestines should be super, super tight like this. And leaky gut, they start to get like this. And then the little proteins, they leak in between and they leak out of your intestines into your bloodstream. And that is not good. So, a great starting point to get rid of this inflammation and leaky gut. Everyone will be a little bit different when it comes to this, but for many, many, many people, start with an elimination diet. An elimination diet is a great place to start. Another great option is the Ningxia reset. Ningxia is so incredibly helpful for leaky gut and tightening those gaps, like closing them from like this, and letting things like swim in between them, and then tightening them again. So the 14-day reset is amazing, and it includes movement and hydration and all of those things like solid nutrition. And you can do this in conjunction to an elimination diet, would be amazing. But honestly, it's a great superfood, and you can combine that with some really great supplements and get a really good handle on your gut health. Other ways that you can support digestion, enzymes. Enzymes is amazing. Essential Enzymes 4 is my overall pick, but it basically helps your body absorb the vitamins and nutrients that you're taking in. If you have leaky gut or gut dysbiosis, chances of you absorbing well are pretty low. Probiotics, amazing, amazing, amazing. I used to be allergic to strawberries too, Rachel. I used to get hives and it's gone now. And once as an adult, I actually just, for some reason, when you're a young adult, sometimes you don't always make good choices. This one just turned out to be okay. I actually just grabbed a strawberry off our hanging basket after Nate planted them and ate one. And my mom was like, "You did what?" And I was fine. So I don't know. But I was actually allergic to strawberries and it gave me hives. But so we can talk about that a little bit too, like as far as leaky gut goes, that could be kind of contributing to the allergy to some degree. Okay. Probiotics, another one is amazing. Life 9, so, so good for a healthy gut, especially if you've taken antibiotics. A really good rule of thumb, if you have to take antibiotics, is to rotate a probiotic in between every single dose of antibiotics that you have to take. I know a lot of people have to take antibiotics. Sometimes it happens in life. There will always be a time. Stock up on Life 9 so you can minimize the impact of those antibiotics on your gut. Cleansing is another really good idea. You can do a colon cleanse. We have a cleansing trio. That's a really great way to work on cleansing your colon and your liver kind of at the same time in a really gentle fashion. We're not ever trying to harshly cleanse anything because we want to maintain the nutrients that you have and not wipe your body clean of all the good stuff and the bad stuff. Okay, so now let's talk about tenderness, headaches, and irritability. These breast tenderness, headaches, and irritability are, I mean, digestive issues are pretty bad, but I feel like I've had hormonal headaches before and they are the worst of the worst. They are so painful, but this is a sign that your detox pathways might be weighed down by toxins. Either you need to ditch some of the toxins that you have in your house and really work on those detox pathways, getting them clear. The cleansing trio, we just talked about that. And we did talk about that, like, toxins are not just like your alcohol, foods. It can come from our water. Control what you can control, but also be aware that no matter how perfect your lifestyle is, you are going to accumulate toxins in your body. It's just the world that we live in. If you live in a brand new house, the floors are off gassing, your couch is off gassing toxins. Like, it's literally everywhere. There's not a whole lot that you can do to get rid of all of it, but control what you can and then work on keeping your detox pathways open. So whatever you do accumulate, your body just gets rid of. They're just like, we don't need this. And it's a very well oiled machine at getting rid of it. So I really think too that supporting your liver is never a bad idea. So these products I'm going to tell you about liver is never a bad idea. Juvatone and Juva Power are supplements that are perfect for liver detoxification and support. They're amazing. They're great. You can add a castor oil liver pack and you can add a few drops of Juva Cleanse essential oil to that for another layer of like liver support. That is a really good one. We're big fans of castor oil packs around here, and they're really, really easy, even for kids to do. You can put them on, and it's super, super helpful. Lymphatic support. I also think this is not a bad idea whenever you can do it. I personally dry brush probably 3 to 4 times a week before I sit in the sauna. Those two things are amazing for your lymphatic system and keeping your detox pathways open. Um, Yes, it is not an all or nothing mindset. And please, like, if you guys are here, I'm pausing to tangent about this because this was a huge process for us. And some of you want to kind of put in the chat some encouragement for Kimberly also, like we ditched very slowly as we could. Like something would run out and I would just make a better choice. I would just like our dish soap would run out and I would make a better choice. Something our dishwasher tablets would run out and I would just make a better choice. So, and I will say the last thing that I switched for myself, I switched all of our kids' stuff first, as I feel like moms do. They switch all of their kids' stuff first, and then my personal stuff, my makeup, my skincare, that always came, shampoo and things that came last. But it is not all or nothing. I know there are some people who like literally just throw it all away, but that wasn't the case for us. It was very much baby steps, very much like as we could go down. And just remind yourself that any choice that you make in the right direction is so huge. It has major impact on your health and your wellness, and you're doing a great job. So don't get discouraged that it's all or nothing at all. Um, so other oils that I love and that you can use too to support your lymphatic system. I like to just get the Cellulite massage oil. It sounds like I think it's called like Cellulite Magic like massage oil. It is full of really amazing lymphatic supporting oils and I just put it on after, so I'll dry brush, sauna, shower, and then I will put that cellulite oil on, and it's so good. Like all the oils that you need for your lymphatic system are already in there. And fun fact, it's called that because cellulite is not a weight issue. This is a whole different call, but cellulite is not a weight issue. It is your adipose tissue, your fat tissue is storing toxins, and you need to get rid of them. You need to move your lymph, and you need to detox that part of your body. So if anyone told you cellulite is a weight issue, it is not a weight issue. It's your body holding on to toxins and you need to flush those out. So cypress and grapefruit are amazing. You can add grapefruit to Ningxia and taste delicious. You can put grapefruit in a capsule. It's also really great for your metabolism at the same time. All of those citrus oils great for your lymphatic system. If you would like to cleanse your blood, this is something that I feel like isn't talked about enough, but probably could be talked about on a whole nother call. And I'm not sure, Lacey, do you know if Rahemagen is in stock right now? Rahemagen, it's not. Okay. It's rare that it is, but if it comes back, you guys grab it. Rahemagen it's a tincture that has a lot of blood detoxifying herbs in it, but it also has blood detoxifying oils in it. And what happens so herbs and tinctures by themselves cannot cross your blood brain barrier. They can't get into those cells. When you put them with an oil, because oils are like the perfect combination for our bodies, I feel like God gave us these tools for a very specific reason. And I love that He did that, but they are very targeted. So when they're paired, those herbs are paired with an oil, they can go across the blood brain barrier and do the job very, very well. So Rahemagen is for blood detoxification. Everyone should have it on their shelves. Everyone. Like, especially if you are of the thinking that you want to have a wellness cabinet in case anything ever hits the fan, Rahemagen needs to be in your wellness cabinet. Okay, so if you feel fatigue or sickness or feeling really run down before your cycle, it is not uncommon to feel tired, under the weather, or just off during certain points of your menstrual cycle. These feelings, though, are often linked to like those hormonal fluctuations, but also can be linked to your overall well being and those resources that we are talking about. So you probably need a boost of some kind. Like if this is more than just the occasional fatigue or feeling run down, and tracking when it happens, you can better understand it. But if you can support the liver, like we just talked about, that's a huge one because that energy as you're detoxifying is going to drain you. It takes a lot of work, and your body only has so much energy. to do certain things. So if you this is why like a lot of times if you're dealing with a disease or someone or you're fighting something like cancer, they're going to tell you to eat plant-based or they're going to tell you to eat juice or just drink juice. And the reason for that is well, obviously there's a lot of phytonutrients, but the other reason for that is that your body only has so much energy. So it can either digest a steak or it can detoxify your liver. And metabolically, eating meat is going to take more energy from your body. It expends more to eat that than it does other things. So if you that is why they usually tell you, okay, let's cut this out for a period of time. It's not because they don't like red meat. It's or meat in general. It just takes more energy to digest it metabolically than a lot of other things. Um Okay. And Kimberly, know too, like there's hope for you. I feel like, and if you're new here, my stance is always that your body is truly, I saw this quote today that was like, your body holds the power to heal itself. That, and we are always looking to buy something else that's going to heal our body when our body has the power to do that already. It already has that. We just have to get it back into a homeostasis so that it can do that. Hence, like, why they say, like, maybe lay off the meat for a while. Maybe, like, let's ditch some toxins. If you get those things and remove that stuff, you will find that your body was innately and intelligently designed to heal. And I fully believe that you can heal from pretty much anything. Like, I feel like you can, and I've seen it time and time again, that really replenishing these nutrients, what your body needs, getting rid of toxins, and healing your nervous system, pretty much the keys to all the things. And a little bit of gut health, those are pretty much the keys to everything. Okay, so the most common things that we are depleted of are B vitamins, magnesium, and minerals. Those are the things that we are majorly depleted of. Ways that we can support that. Ningxia Red, we talked about that. That's the superfood drink that is like all the things. It's going to help your sleep. It's going to help all of those like storage of vital nutrients. That's going to help you. I give it to our kids. It's the one thing I would order over and over and over. Super B vitamins are synonymous with healthy energy levels. And they also affect our hormones because they're water soluble. We need to replenish these daily. So supplementing, we got to be supplementing our B vitamins. Magnesium, you guys, is essential for over like I think it's like 357 metabolic processes in your body, including energy production, muscle contraction. It helps with physical and mental stress. It improves your sleep. Guys, you have to be taking magnesium, especially if you feel like there is a lot of stress. Yeah, there is any time of day is ideal to drink Ningxia. Any time of day. I sleep like a baby when I drink it right before bed, but I also love it for the energy it gives me during the day too. It will not give you like jittery energy, like if you're worried about taking it before bed. It's not like that. It's not like an energy drink that you would take that makes you feel that way at all. Um, will magnesium come back by itself? Yes, it should. It should come back by itself. Yes, but it is in that reset kit and they go so well together. Okay, deep night essence. I really, really like, guys, put this on your list that when it comes back, I was so glad my loyalty order processed because I love Deep Night Essence. If you track your sleep scores, you will notice that Deep Night Essence gives you more, literal, more deeper sleep. It has herbs like lemon balm, it has holy basil, it has things in it that are really calming to your nervous system. And I'm obsessed. I love it so, so much. If it's stress is something that you deal with, sleep is always the place to start. It's also when your body detoxifies via your lymphatic system in your blood. So it's a good one to have on hand. Okay, foods that affect your cycle. Okay, things to consider. I'm not going to make any friends right now, but I'm really sorry. I'll apologize in advance. Caffeine. I feel like if you are struggling with any kind of PMS symptoms, caffeine might be something you want to cut back on because caffeine has been shown to make PMS and gastrointestinal issues worse. Caffeine causes your blood vessels to constrict, including the ones that supply the blood to your uterus, which can make cramps a killer. Not a lot of people will put those 2 together, but that can make it so sorry, Kimberly, yeah, that can make it all worse. It can increase your irritability, which is usually the last thing that you need, right? Alcohol is very directly related to period problems. Drinking alcohol makes pretty much everything worse, but it inhibits hormone regulation, and it can intensify PMS and cramping. It slows the emptying of your stomach. It can intensify bloating. It's also very dehydrating, and it can cause you to retain more water. So that's not fun. Skip that. Um, I love that. Yeah. Funny story though, you guys. My husband completely quit coffee, drinking Ningxia. Wasn't even really intending to, but just stopped drinking it. Refined salt. Certain salty foods only exacerbate gut health issues and increases your water retention. Sugar and refined carbohydrates. All inflammatory foods will make your PMS and cramping worse. But perhaps the biggest of those red flags is refined carbohydrates. So if you can skip those, that will be really good. They also really kind of mess with your blood sugar. So that's not something you really want to do either. But I don't want you to, like, be miserable all the time. Because one of the things I don't really like chocolate, but dark chocolate is actually good for you during your cycle because it boosts your, serotonin levels, which, hey, we can all take that right before our period, right? So that is, like, the silver lining. Give examples of refined carbs. Bread is the biggest one. Bread is the biggest one that I feel like lots how many of you guys, be honest, how many women here could eat a loaf of bread of any kind the week before your period? Probably. It's so good, right? Bread that you make from home is it's much, much better for you. Also, if you're making sourdough, much, much better for you. But we do have to talk about how things like that are made from whole foods are still processed foods. They are still processed foods. So that's where you have to be a little bit careful. Like, are you eating just the wheat? No, you're eating the bread, which is still a processed food. And I'm not saying I'm cutting back on my sourdough eating because I'm not, but I'm just saying, like, how much do you want to get into this? Because that's the key of like an elimination diet. An elimination diet will cut all of those things, and you'll basically be eating beans, fruits, and vegetables. And that's pretty much it. And then you're going to reintroduce those things and you're going to start to see, okay, is this something that's bothering me or is it not? And that's something that's super helpful. I love making sourdough. I'm not here to tell you I think you need to cut back. I'm team sourdough bread. Like, you can eat as much as you want. I'm also team butter. So if anyone's going to be like, are waiting for me to say butter is bad, I will say eat real butter. Don't eat country crock, please. For the love of all things, don't eat that. Eat real butter, but I do think it's good for you. I think it's particularly good for women's hormones as well. Okay, so in general, like, you want to be moving your body gently. I think that, like, as we go through that, I did also mention like the times. So that first week of your period, avoid the strenuous exercise, opt for like walking, yoga, or stretching, or something like that. The second week is your follicular phase, which use that for strenuous exercise or other physical activities that you enjoy. Use that. Your third week, when you're ovulating, these your energy levels are the highest. So plan your activities accordingly. If you want to like plan your meals for the month, do it in that week that you're ovulating. Like, if you want to tackle some business task, do it during that week. If you want to work out harder, do it during that week. And then also consider like that last week before your cycle, again, like restorative yoga, maybe massage, or go get acupuncture or like a lymphatic massage. That would be the perfect time to go get like a lymphatic massage to help like get rid of those extra hormones at the same time. So as you think like all of that, as you're starting to think of those symptoms, like what your cycle is trying to tell you, as like almost like a health detective into that like stress test for your body. Like, how is my body responding to those things? And stress, for sure. Obviously, use rest when you need it. Rest is amazing for stress. If you are a high motivated achieving person, rest is very hard. Prayer, meditation, journaling, all of those things, taking time for quiet, if that is something that you need to kind of help regulate your nervous system, do that. We have a kit that's called the Feelings Kit. The Great Day Protocol doesn't come in a kit right now, but the Feelings Kit does come in a kit, and it's a collection of 7 oils. I think it's 7 oils. Is that right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 7 oils, all go-to things for emotions. So if you really struggle with like stress, anxiety, sadness, all of those things, check into the Feelings Kit. That one's amazing. Stress Away is amazing. I have it open bottle right here because Ivy was just in here right before this and she loves it. I have no idea where the lid is, but so I've been smelling Stress Away this whole time. And frankincense. Frankincense is another one that's your best friend for stress. It is amazing for stress. Okay, so I gotta before we I'll take some questions after this, but our favorite hormone supporting products, Endoflex. This is like basically a personal trainer for your endocrine system. It's going to support your entire endocrine system, healthy thyroid function, hormone balance, healthy metabolism, adrenal health. This oil blend will like put all of those pieces to the puzzle together in a way that like basically makes you able to handle stress. I will tell you when I stop using Endoflex are always the most stressful times in my life. And then I look at my counter and I'm always like, why am I not using this? And then I start using it again and like things are like easier. I'm less snappy. I'm not like as irritable. I have more energy, all of those things. Yes, if you have a story about Endoflex, I want to hear it in just a second. Progestins Plus is another one. This is almost all women are deficient in progesterone. I don't have time right now to explain to you how like the hormone tree works, but if you are stressed at all, your stress, your cortisol is stealing from it's called the pregnenolone steal. Pregnenolone is the precursor hormone to cortisol and progesterone. If you're stressed, your levels of stress, they will steal progesterone to make cortisol every single time. So if you're stressed, your progesterone is probably low because you're stressed because it's taking that progestins like the not progestins, that's what the oil is, the progesterone to make more cortisol because your body's just flying through it. So most women are deficient in that. It's also the number one it is also the number one cause of miscarriages because progesterone makes your uterine lining thicker so that baby can stick. If you have a history of miscarriages, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to put you on a progesterone supplement, usually synthetic, that has a ton of side effects that are super uncomfortable, not very fun. Progestins Plus is an oil that absolutely is life changing. Even if you are not trying to conceive, a balanced level of progesterone in your life will literally change everything from your skin, your sleep, your libido, fertility, literally everything. They call progesterone the women's feel good hormone for a reason, and everybody needs it. I love it so much. Okay, let's see. Femigen is if you feel like you are one of those that is struggling with lower estrogen, this is where Femigen comes in. Femigen is amazing for lower estrogen, which can happen in perimenopause or later. And all of that stuff will just help balance your estrogen. So let's see if you have questions. Go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll take a couple and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, Get Pro Plus. I can't even like tell you enough how amazing Progestins Plus is. How do you know if your estrogen is high? So estrogen, if you're estrogen dominant, you can number one, you can test your hormones if you want to. A lot of the signs, hormones are tricky because a lot of the signs of high estrogen are the same signs as low estrogen. So sometimes it's trial and error, but sometimes it's really starting to pay attention to those cues of your cycle, like what if you have like that thicker clotting bleeding during your cycle, if you're dealing with those headaches, that kind of thing. If you are tending to hold on to weight, you might have like a hormone imbalance that's kind of you're struggling with, or it could be your hormones are affecting your thyroid, it could be something like that. But I also think so how this kind of works is estrogen is never really high. It's usually your progesterone that's low. So it's not like, and they're supposed to be balanced. So when one is low, then the other one is like obviously higher, right? So it's dominant instead of just high. It's just the dominant hormone, which is not exactly what you want. So even trying to level out your progesterone by increasing your progesterone is going to level out a imbalance in estrogen, if that makes sense. Like it's not going to bring down your estrogen, but it's going to balance them, which is what you want. Um, yeah, we'll talk. If you Yeah, a lot of breast cancers are estrogen dominant breast cancers, and if you think of like all of the estrogenic like products that we're putting on our bodies that disrupt our hormones and our endocrine system, it can happen so easily. It can happen so easily. Um, okay. Anybody else have any questions? Oh wait. Secondary infertility for over a year, low progesterone, PCOS. Better. Progestins plus. Progestins plus times a million. I would also say mineral essence. Get like restore your minerals. Get rid of all the toxins, restore your minerals, and you will see like lots of your PCOS as symptoms start to fade. But I would say start with, I feel like, in my opinion, less is sometimes more. Less is sometimes more. And if you don't need 12 things, I feel like start with one and see if one works. And usually progestins and ditching the toxins is gonna work. And if that doesn't work, then like you were saying, you were talking with Marissa, message Marissa and she can kind of guide you like, okay, what's the next step if that's not gonna work? And I know that when you're dealing with infertility, I completely know that that is really, really hard and you want to throw everything at it right now. Like you want to like fix it, make it go away. But I really think if you figure out what that missing link is, then you're gonna be able to go forward and your body's gonna heal itself. PCOS is not permanent, just in case um anyone's curious. My opinion on no hormone birth control. Um, Please know this is just my opinion. I'm a no for birth control. I'm a no for birth control for a myriad of reasons. Um, I'm just a no. I'm a no for birth control, even if it's no hormone birth control, because even if they're telling you this is a no hormone birth control, I want you to ask a lot of questions because if it doesn't have hormones, how is it affecting yours? And what is the mechanism that it is using to make you infertile? So that's, and also I have some deep tied faith based issues to some of the mechanisms of birth controls that are out there. Often they will let you produce an egg and then they will let that egg be fertilized and then they will just not let it attach. So depending on where you fall and where life begins, that is a question that you should ask the mechanism of that birth control. Like how is it working? Where does it like end this process? That's something that's super important to me. Um it would be a no for me, in my opinion. Everyone has to make their own decisions. I don't want you guys to make any decisions because I said that or that it's my opinion, because we all need to do what's best for our own bodies. Um, Juvatone and Juva cleanse. Yeah, I would do it. I would do it daily, Ashley, but maybe go easy since you're nursing. Maybe go easy since you're nursing. Just I'll message you. Cleansing is never bad when you're nursing. I just think you want to like low and slow. Okay. What did I miss? 110% feel like chiropractor is amazing. I feel like everyone should have a chiropractor, quite honestly. Um, Adrenals. Yeah, Endoflex is going to help your adrenals also. Nutmeg is amazing for your adrenals. If you can get just a little like nutmeg vitality, nutmeg is in Endoflex, but if you really need adrenal support, you can roll your adrenals are under your rib cage, like on your lower back, kind of just above your kidneys. You can roll that over your adrenals and it's super helpful. Okay. cycle first day heavy, bright red with clots, second day about the same, goes a little lighter. I would do I would start with Progessence Plus, ditch the toxins, and maybe do an elimination diet and see if you have some food sensitivities and love on your gut and see how you feel. And also, as you implement these things, try something for a while. Like, try it through like 2 cycles to see how you're feeling and then adjust. Sometimes I think with hormones, we pivot a little bit too soon, especially if they are super whacked out. We don't really give them enough time to like figure out what's going on because of the natural stuff. Yeah, they're all synthetic. It is a really it's such a tough call, you guys, and those of you that have kids and are dealing with like these real world issues, have grace for yourself. Like I said, make the very best decisions that you can make for you and your family. Because it's not always just black and white. Like there are some nuances to health and how you're handling these situations, duration of which you have to like do these things. All of that stuff comes into play, right? So don't feel like we're not we aren't sympathetic to that. Totally are. Ashley, yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to share, I had like a super aha light bulb moment with EndoFlex in particular. So when I had my first child journey, I really struggled with nursing and milk supply, so much so that I had to supplement with donor milk for a significant part of my breastfeeding journey. And I was hypothyroid. I had to go on like thyroid medication just to try to get my milk supply to even like go with a little bit that I could get. And then with Sky, I've been doing Ningxia and Endoflex on my thyroid every single day. And like she's gaining weight, don't need any donor milk. Like it's just, I have zero question about my supply. It was like really just a cool moment because I knew after journey, like I knew when I was pregnant with her, like I was going to try to not go back on thyroid medication, but I also knew that it might be a thing that has to happen just because my thyroid slowed down. And I was really, really pleasantly surprised that Endoflex seems to have taken care of it completely, and I don't need to go back on any sort of medication. So, just wanted to say, like, if anybody needs the reassurance that Endoflex works, it works. And
Um,
I also have a Pro Plus baby, so Pro Plus also works.
Yay! I love that. And even it like guys, we're gonna talk more about hormones in the next couple of weeks, but Thyromin is something else that's really good that can help support your thyroid too if that's something that you struggle with. For recommendations for everyone on non-toxic products like tampons, etc. Um, yeah, Marissa put the cotton period underwear, organic pads, the cups, the menstrual cups. I will tell you guys, if you're weirded out by this, don't be. They are like the most life-changing things of all time. Of all time, there are so much better options out there than the bleach-filled like products that they are marketing, especially toward kids. I would go another route. Um, and if those things weird you out, don't be weirded out. It's like it's the easiest thing ever. It's so easy. Like making the switch to some of that stuff is so easy. Don't be afraid of it. And it's so much healthier for you. So much healthier for you. Okay. Yes. The horrible why are fragrances in that? That and trash bags. Why are we trying to scent these things? Can we stop? Um It is not going to get lost or stuck, I promise. There is an end to that channel. It does not continue on. It will not get stuck, I promise. Does anyone want to share just any like quick stories of like any hormone stories, like where this all kind of came to for you and how much easier it is for you now? We would love to hear those things.
I saw Abby, I think, asked Ashley about like using Endoflex, and I typed in there was definitely a season of life, like specifically right after I had my second, and I was weaning off of Zoloft and like, antidepressants and things like this. And I think, Abby, I would apply it every time I made eye contact with Endoflex, just like on your lower back over your adrenals and on your right side, which is where your liver is, on your thyroid. I don't think there's a wrong way to be using it or a wrong amount. But it truly makes like a massive difference when you are consistently using that oil blend. It is wonderful. And also, I cannot sing enough praises for Pro Plus. Like, whether you're in a season of trying to conceive, you want to balance your cycles, you're tired of breaking out. I've heard so many testimonies of like hormonal migraines, which thankfully I don't have, but women that use that and they're like, this is the only thing that is, keeping me from these awful headaches, your libido, just it really is like a feel good hormone. And it's so good. It honestly smells pretty good too. So that is, I loved this call also, Lacey. So helpful. Especially that we all love good butter.
Yeah,
Love
we
that for
do.
us.
We're all like, your cycle loves good butter. Okay. Like, no one's ditching good butter. No, not at all. I feel like when you start to realize that, like, you're not going to be missing out on anything when you're ditching toxins and like you're switching foods and like you're doing all this work, right, on your health. I feel like it all got better when I did all those things and I switched it all and like made all my food at home. Not even just like how you feel, but like the joy you have in doing all of it also. So be so oh yes, the SSRIs and the harm they do. Guys, this is a whole nother whole nother topic. It is a hard one. And the thing with SSRIs is like you got to keep upping them. You got to keep changing the dose. And then you're kind of chasing a moving target all the time, and that's so hard. That is hard. That is something that I like, guys, I've had so many people tell me like about anxiety before, just take the medication, just take it, just take it. You don't, I'm here to tell you, you do not have to take it. And I'm also here to tell you that your anxiety is not just something you have forever. Like you can deal with these things in a myriad of other ways than taking that medication that's just going to band-aid and dull and honestly dull your light, because you could have so many more tools at your fingertips. So many more tools. Yes, Leah, please share.
Okay, sorry. I know I'll be really quick because I know we're getting to the end here, but I had to just like sing the Ninja Reset praises because um, I knew it helped so much. But when you were going through like what your bleeding actually looks like and what it tells you, it just like totally hit home to me because I knew something was different this cycle. I had a miscarriage in December and I knew I wanted to target my hormones. I had my first cycle just 2 weeks after I had stopped bleeding from my first miscarriage. And it was like a very, very heavy period. But then I went like my normal, maybe a couple days longer cycle, ovulated a little bit later, and then just had my period. And I can tell you after that Ninja Reset, I noticed something was different. Emotionally, I was different. Physically, like things you can tell just work as a well-oiled machine. But now I'm looking at like my bleeding, which TMI, sorry, no filter here at all. But like it's crazy how you really can look at it. And the low progesterone, what was it? The jam red with large clots, low progesterone. That's the reason I lost the baby. Like obviously that bleeding was dark like that. But then in January, it was very similar because my progesterone still wasn't where it was. And now I'm back to normal, at least according to that. And so I just have to sing the reset praises because it really makes such a huge difference when you get rid of that inflammation and things can start working. Still not totally balanced, but anyway, that was just like an aha moment for me to be like, oh, I can look at that and just see like the changes just with that, let alone all the other symptoms. I actually even wondered like, why is my period like, is it coming? I'm not having PMS symptoms. Like I had maybe 1 or 2 days and that was it. So anyway, Ninja Reset, so good.
Yes, I completely know that feeling of like you're paying attention and but like you don't have like a reminder set or anything, but like you're expecting it and then you're kind of surprised because you're just like, I didn't feel anything. Like I wasn't, I just got busy and you forget and you're just like, oh yeah, it is about that time, but like what a gift it is to even feel like that. Ningxia's so super, super great for your liver. So great for your liver. Amazing. Leah, that's amazing. Also, you have an Endoflex story, don't you?
It's not like an amazing wow Endoflex story like Ashley's, but I do feel like I started that in the beginning of January, end of December. I'm a big advocate for like, I'm only trying one thing because like nursing mind clinical studies, if I'm adding 3 different things, I'm not going to know what's helping me. So I started that at least 2 weeks before the reset. And I did notice I didn't have as many energy slumps. It definitely was helping to balance things. I can't say it was like, aha, like the Ningxia reset, but it definitely helped.
Yes, for sure. And like another thing that you'll notice about Pro Plus that I did not mention, if you're using too much, you'll get breakthrough bleeding. Like I know immediately if I'm using too much because my skin will break out right here. I'll get like little pimples, like 3 of them, like right here. The second I use too much, like the actual millisecond that I use too much, and then I have to back off. So if you're going to do Pro Plus, I would suggest dropping it on and not rolling it. Because if you're rolling it, you really have no idea how much you're using. And you honestly may be using 6 drops and then it's causing you more issues, or you just don't need that much. If you're using too much, you'll start to break out. You'll see a difference in like your skin. And also you'll have breakthrough bleeding, meaning like you'll spot during odd times in your cycle if your progesterone is too high. That's not something that's going to stick with you. You just back off, it goes away. Like that's it. Like it's not something that's going to like build up. Um, do you think Pro Plus works better than Wild Yam? Pro Plus is Wild Yam. And yeah, I think it works better because it's combined with oils. And we talked about how oils get it exactly where it needs to go. The oils are the carrier that make it so targeted and super effective, but it is from wild yams. That's exactly what it does. So yes, I do think that. And it's super concentrated. So yeah, I would choose that time and time again. Yes, Pro Plus will help with acne. Yeah. Not only like was my skin clearer, but I will tell you guys, I feel like my skin is better at 41 than my skin was when I was 30. And I don't think it was because of the products that I was putting on it. I think it was because my diet wasn't as good. I think it was because I still had some toxins in my house. And I feel like there was just any imbalance in your hormones or your health. I feel like you see in your skin. And Pro Plus is one of those things that like you truly like you'll see it in your skin. Just the same as like hydration, you'll see it in your skin. All of that stuff, like you will see it in your skin. And just pay attention to that. I mean, aging is normal, right? Like no one should be afraid of aging, but I am like happy that my skin got better. Not like and that's pretty amazing, right? Um thank you. That is so kind. You guys are so nice. Sometimes I wonder if I am look as tired as I feel, but okay. That's like, I feel like it's like 8 o'clock or yeah, 7:30. That's how I feel. Okay, yeah. So good, you guys. I think I got everything. Hold on. Pro Plus making you so sleepy. Okay, it can actually really improve your sleep. And Dr. Purser, I can never remember to put it on at night. But Dr. Purser, who helped Gary formulate Pro Plus, actually suggests that you use it at night. So if that's true, use it at night. Because that's actually how he intended and suggests that you use it is using it at night. I do in the mornings for whatever reason. I just can't ever remember. But yeah, do what works for you. I don't think there's any specific time that you have to use it. And with Pro Plus, start low and slow. Start with a couple of drops. If you know you're low in progesterone, you can start with like 3 to 5, but it is pretty concentrated. But also like I went through a period in my life where if I used more than 1 drop, my face would break out. Whereas I had friends using 12 plus drops to increase fertility and get pregnant. So it is very bio individual. It is not the same for every single person. And I will say your seasons will change too. Like I used to only be able to use 1 drop, and I use 3 drops. So it will just change. Your body is kind of always changing, and if you're feeling something different, don't be afraid to change it. Yeah. So that night, Jamie, take the roller top off. Just kidding. You can keep the roller if it works for you, but I need to know how many drops. I need to count them. Okay. Yeah, I've increased it at times too, Rochelle, and I think it just depends on like stress levels and lots of different variables. Like our hormones are not always, and sometimes we will be exposed to more toxins than maybe we were. Maybe you travel and you were at hotels or Airbnbs and you were exposed to more things than you were the previous month. So your body's having a little more sluggish and detoxing. But now you know the things to look for. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I appreciate you hanging out with us. Make sure you join us again on next Thursday. We're going to keep this hormone chat rolling. So have a good night. Thank you all so much. Have a great weekend.